You were in Florida in the 1940s at the University of Florida. What was it like when you came here as a teenager, preparing for going off to war? Your memories of UF?
Yes, well, you get to realize people say, well, you know, Gus, you're a bull. I'm a Seminole because I got no, but I'm also a Gator because when I finished when I was finishing my first year at Columbia,
Yes.
why you had to take a test. It was called A12 or V12. The A12 is Army, V12 was Navy, and I never had a good feeling for being on the water with a boat or a ship or whatever, so I went for A12.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into the Army Specialized Training Program. So they, as soon as I got into service, they immediately sent me to the small school in Gainesville, Florida, called the University of Florida. And I spent, in fact, I have a certificate which I gave a copy to Gary,
Mm-hmm.
and I graduated in March of '44, ready to go for another 3 or 4 quarters. Only we got a little letter that said, we know you've loved it here, and I love Florida. That made me love the Florida because coming from New Jersey and Ohio,
Yes.
especially Ohio, where the sun only would come out twice a year in the winter.
Yes.
I was just happy to be in Florida, and I love the climate. I love the city, and so I always said I'm going to live in Florida someday. But we received a letter saying instead of going on furlough, we have to tell you the program's been canceled, and you're all now in the infantry. And so from the University of Florida, I went to Camp McCain, Mississippi, which is in Grenada, Mississippi, and I just learned this past year that Camp McCain is named for John McCain's grandfather, and so there I was at the University of Florida, and then Camp McCain going into additional basic training. I had basic training for ASTP, but that was not as rigorous as it was for the regular infantry. And in fact, we had quite an entree into the infantry. We no sooner got to Camp McCain than a sergeant came in and said, "Okay, you 6 volunteers, come with me." We didn't volunteer, but we had to go with him.
It was implied.
That's right. And we went with him. We were to dig a latrine at the officers' mess. So we went to dig the latrine. We got there, and they said, "We don't need 6, 4. 2 you can volunteer to be in the mess hall for the officers." Well, you know, they tell you not to volunteer, but my gosh, I grew up in my father's diner.
Yes.
So I said, I'll volunteer. So another fellow and I volunteered, and the other 4 were to help dig the hole for the latrine. A sergeant would go in, put 2 charges in, set them off, and then one of the trainees would go with a pick, and another with a shovel.
Yes.
Pick and shovel. And they'd work for 10 minutes, then the next 2 would go and do the same thing. And then you'd put in 2 more charges. What happened was that one time was only 1 explosion. So the sergeant went and he checked. He looked around and couldn't find it. He said they must have gone off together. So the first 2 fellows went in, picked and shoveled for 10 minutes. Then the next group went to pick. He hit the charge. It killed him immediately. And his partner was blinded for life. So, you know, life is full of experiences like this. I mean, I could have been there, but I wasn't.